Hi, welcome or welcome back. Welcome back. So today I come to you from the Nubian Review. My name is Sharifa and I hope all is well. I come to you today with a midpoint check-in for one. And secondly, to go over my quarter three reads. Now, here's the thing. I have not been sticking to anything on my list. I have a quarter one challenge, then I had a quarter two challenge, and now my quarter three. And I broke it up into those four small, you know, uh, those increments of 3 months so I can actually pace myself on the books that I wanted to read this year, including, new books that are coming out this season. However, because I am such a mood reader, me thinking of putting that type of challenge of my a type of challenge for myself, yeah, that probably wasn't in the best intentions, but we're going to try. My thing is I want to focus. So let's focus on what we have here. I've been keeping up with my books in my Moleskine notebook, which I can take everywhere with me. I always jot down books that I'm looking for, taking into the bookstores with me so I don't have to carry my bigger daily planner. This is my A4, and I keep all the things in here, including my quarterly reading list. And then, of course, we have my actual creative reading journal. This is an A4 from Archer and Olive. I've had this for a few years. So let's go through this right now as I try to figure out what books I'll be reading. So I'm just going to go ahead and just give you the list. And then I'm going to cross it off. I don't know if I'm going to do it on screen, but this is just like a guide to help me figure out what I have. So pay this no mind. If you see me look down, I'm looking down because I'm trying to really figure out what I have. And reading shouldn't be that hard. It should be enjoyable. But at the same time, I do like to track my progress. So that's kind of personal to me. So got these reading lists. So let's get into the books that I want to read for quarter three. And some of them I'm going to be reselecting for quarter three. I mean, from quarter two, because although I selected it for quarter two, I didn't even crack open the book. So if you see an earlier video and you will say, oh, she already mentioned that book, that is why. So let's get into it. So the first book I do have, it is on my 25 of 2025, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet, Beecher, Stowe. And we're not even going to get into like, the story or the parts of the book because yeah, that video will be so long and drawn out, but I will talk about this in a future video. This was on my quarter two to read list and I never cracked open the book. So this summer I plan to get to it. Quarter three covers July the 1st through September the 30th. So there's some leniency. My next book is The Octopus, the Sea, and the Deep Origins of Consciousness, Other Minds. And this is a book about octopus, and how they are, how can you say, how they think, feel, and react. Um, it's just a study on octopus. So Peter Godfrey Smith, I've had this book for a while, and I've been wanting to read it. So yeah, I just pulled that off my shelf. You guys, I am so sorry. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words, but forgive me. Let me get through this. The next one is Hemingway's Cat, a novel about cats and other forces of nature by Lindsay Hooper. Now, I don't know where I got this book, but I had it for a while. So this should be a really fun read. I mean, I am a mama of several cats. So yeah, that's always, you know, a good thing. Like read about cats, own, have a house full of cats. Just the whole thing. Which gets me into Christmas in July. That is something that I have taken part of. My mom, she's a big movie watcher for Christmas in July. Every year, I like to read a book or two in July based on the Christmas theme. And so this year, I grabbed Snowball's Christmas, Kristen Cavanaugh. I think I got this from the Dollar Tree. And so this should be a quaint, quick read along with a couple of holiday movies. This is on my 25 or 2025 list. And so this was between this book and another book from this author, Toni Morrison's Paradise. And I've read this before. I didn't know how emotional I wanted to get. It was between this, because I have several of her books, but there was two that, it was between this and Beloved. So I was not in a Beloved mood, but who knows if I would read Beloved this year. I have read it before and it's highly emotional. And so this one is too. Paradise is too. But Beloved, it's a heart jerker. This is part of a trilogy, Toni Morrison. And I don't know, it's never really promoted as a trilogy, but this is part of the trilogy. I think Paradise is the last one. It is Beloved and what is these other one? I want to say Beloved, Jazz, and Paradise. So yeah, this is on my quarter three reads. This was a surprise to me because I am doing the big book challenge. So some of these books that I have, I think one of them is part of the big book challenge already. Big book summer challenge. And so every quarter I decided I would read, just a big book just to, to get down, to focus on my TBR with my larger books. Last year, I think I challenged myself monthly. Now, it's not that I don't read the books. I really heavily got into my magazines. And so when I'm into my magazines, and I've been into my magazines for a while now, it kind of takes me away from just sitting down and reading, like my actual books. I've been doing everything audiobook because I can work and move and, do things that I need to do without stopping the pace of reading. So, and then magazines don't require much for me. Article here, article there. I'm finished with the magazine. But getting back to that, this is my quarter three mammoth challenge, and it's called The Wheel of Time, Book One, The Eye on the World, Robert Jordan. I actually started watching this series, I want to say on Prime. And so I stopped watching the series because I listened to this on audiobook like over 20 years ago. So this meets the Mammoth Challenge, my Mammoth Challenge for quarter three. Getting back to this book right here, 5 Days at the Memorial. August of 2025 will mark 20 years since Katrina hurricane. And so there's been a lot of documentaries, a lot of conversation, books coming out. Essence Magazine actually did a special, and I do have the magazine. I don't have it with me right now in front of me. I'll show it to you probably in another video. But just, talking about Katrina and where are they now. I think Apple has a mini series on 5 Days at the Memorial. The reenactment is horrifying and beautiful at the same time. Yeah, it was like one of the largest category hurricanes the United States have had in a long time. I want to say it was a category 5, and that it is yeah, and they're still trying to repair from it. So this was a winner of a Pulitzer. 5 Days at the Memorial, Life and Death in a Storm Ravaged Hospital. And that's what this book is based on. My next book is Toni, Cade, Bambera. Those Bones Are Not My Children. I selected this one as my book to movie selection, although I do have The Wheel of Time. That's more or less a series. A lot of these books that I'm naming, actually, in this last hub, all of them have movies. But this one in particular, Those Bones Are Not My Child, I decided I wanted to watch the movie and do a comparison of the book. So I grabbed it for quarter 3. That should be a nice read. That should be a great comparison to. Build from the Fire, the epic story of Tulsa's Green District, America's Black Wall Street. So it basically talks about how an entire community was wiped out and the the aftermath of that ravage. The author Victor Luckerson. I started reading this book last year and I put it away. Sometimes the topics can be it depends on how much like it could be heavy for that moment in time, but I feel like now I'm ready to pick it back up and finish off the book. A book that I have started already, I'm just going to add on to my quarter 3 book reading, is An Army at Dawn. The War in North Africa, 1942 to 1943. This is part of a 3-part series. This is the Liberation Trilogy. Rick Atkinson, I think. This is a Pulitzer. I've read it so long ago. Enjoyed it. I'm actually reading it, the entire trilogy. So I'm not giving myself a time to finish. I just want to read the entire trilogy without stopping. The last time I just read this book right here, and I started book 2 and I never finished. So the goal is to finish. And this is one of my, not so much of a reading challenge, but this is one of the um series that I wanted to finish in 2025. So we'll see how that go. This is a beautiful surprise. Ashton Hall, um, by Lauren Belfer. This story is about a mother and her child who goes to this mansion for the summer. And the objective of her being there is to finish up a book. And then they find a dead body. And so the story goes from there. They're trying to figure out what happened. So this would be nice to read. I actually got this one from the Dollar Tree as well. I thought that would be interesting to read and pick up. Last but not least, I did mention this in my big book summer reading challenge, but I want to mention it again because I actually did start reading this book and I didn't think I would even get to it this summer. This and a couple of others I'm not going to mention because I mentioned it in the big book challenge. And so if you want to know what's in that challenge or what I'm challenging myself to read, I will link that video somewhere in the cards or below. But this one right here, um, Bark Skin. This is really a Annie Proux, I think. This is really a environmental read. This covers for like several generations of this family, and it really is. I'm really enjoying it right now. I actually just started, so hopefully, with everything I have going on, and also with my big book challenge, it kind of seemed like it's overlapping. But the goal is to continue reading, continue challenging myself, and like I said, because I am a mood reader, I can finish a book and not do anything else on my TBR and go, and start, reading other stuff. So that is my goal. But I always have to, put it out there because I have cat fur in my mouth, you guys. I always have to put it out there because my goal is to share books that are of interest to me, how I'm going to challenge myself and get through them. And so, in saying that, I want to thank you for stopping by. I'm looking at my book challenges right now, and this is a hefty stack. So, hopefully, I will get through this. I do have until the end of September. until that quarter is over. And then we get into our last quarter of the year, which are my cozy reads. And so we'll see. We'll see how that go. But until then, thank you for stopping by. And if you have any reading challenges or quarter three or summer books that you're going to read, share them in the comments. And until then, I will see you later, beautiful people. Bye bye.